Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to Lesson 4 Point Composition Project Point 7, all your ducks in a row. So we're going to take these different things that we've written and start to put them in an order. So we're working with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Your final piece will be in 4 sections. The original melody, your own new melody, the meter shifted melody, and the mode shifted melody. So the original from the first couple parts we did, da 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 da. Then we have your own da 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 da. You have meter shifted da 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 and mode shifted da 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 da. So it's going to be a simple theme and variation. So the theme, that is the original melody, must go first. I've indicated this on your worksheet. So this is going to go first, and then I need to decide what order I want to put the other ones in. I'm going to put minor next, and then meter shifted, and then... Actually, no, I'm going to put the original tune next and then meter shifted, because this is, I think, most similar to the original, kind of bring it back at the end. Doesn't matter, you make your own artistic, aesthetic decisions. Set up 3 staves on a new piece of staff paper. Here's a new piece of staff paper. So the top staff is for a solo instrument, and then the other 2 staves are a grand staff for a piano. So I know how to draw a grand staff. Bam. And then the top staff, what do I want to do? I'm going to write for bassoon. So this should be for an instrument that exists in the class. I happen to be writing for bassoon right now. It might be easier to work with the treble instrument because that's like up higher, where it's easier to hear melodies. Bassoon sometimes can play melodies. It can also have some harmonic functions. It could do something like this Alberti bass pretty well. So I want to play around with that a little bit. So yeah, just make sure that that top staff is something that exists in the class. So now I'm going to write each of the 4 melodies in the order that I chose. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess I'm going to need some more of these. I think this will just fit on my piece of paper. Excellent. So I don't really have a lot of room out here. If you have this room, it's good to label what's going on. This is going to be the score that you turn in, and also the piano part that will be performed in class. Typically for piano parts, they see both their own part and the solo instrument part. So we have our key signature, and bassoon also gets a key signature, and we're starting off in 4/4. I'm just setting everything up right now, so it's all good to go. It's always going to be the same key signature. The only difference is it's going to change to 12/8 here at the end. But I do need clefs and key signatures. Ooh, that's quite a treble clef for all of the lines. But since the time signature does not change until that last line, I do not need to rewrite it. So always need a clef, always need a key signature. I don't even know why I was writing a treble clef there. That is not typically appropriate for bassoon. There are occasions, but even then they tend to prefer tenor clef, which I would know because I've written treble clef, and bassoonists have been sad. So bass clef it is, and we're all set up. So I need to write my melodies in. First one must be for the solo instrument, in this case bassoon, and then the others can go, they can all be solo instrument. You can put some in piano left hand, piano right hand, whatever you want. So I'm going to pause while I do that. One thing I realized before I write stuff down is that this nice little DCL Fine structure isn't going to work when, the piece keeps going afterwards. You can't have, like, multiple codas going on. I mean, theoretically, I suppose you could have, like, coda 1, coda 2, but, like, that's not a thing that happens. So if I were actually writing this out, I would need to write out the 6 bars. I suppose I could just repeat this single bar each time it comes up, but I would then need to write out those 2 bars. I'm not going to do that for reasons of space, etc. But for your projects, know that if you have something like that, then you would need to. All right, my melodies are live. So basic twinkle up here, decided to write the minor tune up in the higher reaches of the piano, make it a little spooky. And then my compound version, I just made a couple rhythmic alterations. Da 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 just for fun, because why not? Doing those sorts of little things is totally fine. Now, write appropriate textures in the remaining two staves. If the solo instrument isn't playing the melody, it can do something else. It can arpeggiate some chords, it can sustain an inner voice part, or do something else that sounds good. So here we have a piano thing going on. Da, 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 da. So what I'm thinking is right now, this is exactly in the same range that the bassoon is playing. So maybe I have just octaves in the left hand. So that stays underneath what the bassoon is doing. And then in the right hand, I put that Alberti bass up an octave. So that way, I'm not interfering with what's going on. And each part has its own separate range. So I'm not going to write that all out, but that's just to remind me that's what I'm doing here. Here, I had some block chords in the left hand. That's still fine. Maybe the bassoon. Let's see, what can it do? What chord do I have there? Oh, it goes to a 5, so. So I think I'm going to keep the block chords here, and then have kind of a counter melody sort of thing going on here. Starts out with one of the inner voice parts. 5 flicks 5. And then I went 4 2 3 1 2 7 1. So that's complementing what the melody is doing, kind of following an inner voice part, but and then block chords just to remind myself that that's what I'm doing over here. Great. And then I need something. Melody goes. So having the bassoon travel in thirds underneath that works out pretty well. So I'll do that there. Then bassoon has the melody. Alberti bass will stay mostly underneath it. I think I can make it quiet enough so I can offset dynamics so that it's not terrible. So Alberti bass there, and then I think maybe an inner voice part in octaves up in the right hand. I don't want it too busy because there's already two pretty busy things going on. So then which inner voice part do I want? The 3 to 4 voice moves a lot, so let's go with that one. A, C, E, F. Great. So that's just going to move back and forth. And then down here, I like this arpeggiation. Again, I don't want it exactly in the same range as soon as playing. Is it too muddy down here? Maybe. Ooh, yeah, I like it an octave up. And then just single eighth notes in the bass. So how that's going to look is da 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 da, and then the bass is gonna go boom boom. Maybe I go down an octave here. Bam. And then I just need to spend time finishing out those textures. Um, but let's see what else I have to do. Include some dynamic markings. So when writing for keyboard, dynamic markings go between the staves. So I think when I start out, nice and loud for the bassoon and a little underneath for the piano. Minor, I wanted it to be spooky. So I think, yeah, that'll be good. Um, then we're back to kind of a rollicking da 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 da. I think I want this one to be the loudest. So yeah, I think here having both of the parts the same volume makes sense. Here I wanted remember I wanted the Alberti bass significantly softer. If for some reason I wanted this loud, I could write a forte up here and a mezzo piano down here to differentiate between the two staves, but I think this will be reasonable, including some articulation markings. So da 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 da. So if I just see this, I would probably go da 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 da. But maybe I want da 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 dum da 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 dum. So there are some articulation markings. Let's see what else. Da 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 da. I don't think anything there. Some slurs here for sure. And then maybe in trying to think how I want this. Ooh, dom, da, 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 da. So that makes it a little off kilter and spooky. Da 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 da. Where are we? Oh, sorry, I have something. I don't. Yeah, if it's just like, yeah, that's kind of how I want it. You don't need an articulation marker on every note. That would just be excessive. Um, include a tempo marking. Dum dum dum. Then kind of moderato at the beginning. Then I could keep the same tempo all the way through. I don't need to choose a different tempo marking. I'm gonna go. This is not something we've talked about, but meno mosso means less motion. So I'm gonna have this part be a little slower, and then a tempo here for the rest of the piece. And here we are moving between 4/4 and 12/8. So I might indicate, hey, I want what was the quarter note to now become the dotted quarter note. If you want like the eighth note to stay the same, you could indicate that. So da 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 dum 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 da 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 da. That would result in a much slower 12/8. Here I'm keeping the beat the same. Da 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 dum da da dum 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 dum. So that's something to think about. If desired, you may spice up your composition by having brief transitions between sections. I've already embellished this melody a little bit, so that's fine. If this were, if I had written it out, I might spice up the final bar of each section to lead into the next one. Include a title for your piece. I'm going to call it Twinkle Variations. And then my name is Joe Clark. So that's what we have going on here. Obviously, finish your own textures, but I don't want this video to be too long. And I'll see you next time.